Hello faithful viewers, this week we are taking a step away from Transformers to look at a couple of really old Iron Man figures. These two that we see before us today are from the concept line, I believe, from the old 2008 movie tie-in toy line. Now that's a mouthful. These two variants I think are somewhat rare. So on the left we have a silver and black satellite armor Iron Man, and on the right we have a blue and black Torpedo armor Iron Man. Now I thought I might throw both of these together in the same review because they are essentially the same figure, the only key differences being the deco and the assortment of accessories that they come with. So rather than splitting it into two separate reviews, let's lump them all together in one. Now I can only really do reviews of these two because despite me having both the Mark II and the Mark III, which are again the same figure, I used and abused them throughout my youth, and they are in no fit state to be on camera. Let's start by having a look at the satellite armor Iron Man. We have a shining silver deco coupled with a belligerent black and with a nice kind of milky white arc reactor going on there with some blazing blue optics set in the mask right there. Again, the standard Mark III kind of look, and obviously you can see that both of these guys share the same kind of pattern in terms of how the paint is applied. So you've got the, let's call it the primary colour. Let's call black the secondary and either the blue or the silver the primary. So you've got the primary colour on the faceplate, on like a V shape on the torso, on both, with the shoulder pads and the upper arms there, casting that as well, with the same kind of pattern on the forearms and on the back of the hands there. The main differences, I suppose, being in terms of the legs and how they are here. The tops of the legs, very much the same, but when you come to the shin area, then in fact, really, the only thing that made me think it was different is just the application there of the black compared to on that one, it's not the same. They both look really nice. Now, considering that I haven't messed about with them all that much, that explains why they look really nice, but still. This guy comes with a couple of interesting pieces of attachment, and I don't usually display either of these figures with their weapons or anything because it's a lot, isn't it? You know, he's got a massive backpack and an oversized rocket launcher, then the guy over here gives War Machine a run for his money with the rocket launchers that he is carrying around. So I don't really display them. And for the longest time, I've had their assortment of accessories just shoved away in a box. And it's been so long that I kind of forgot what actually belonged to what. So I was very much taken by surprise to discover that this rocket launcher actually lives with this guy. The reason it surprised me is because I have another one of these stuffed in a drawer, and it belongs to my Titanium Man figure. And I couldn't comprehend why an Iron Man would come with a reissue of a Titanium Man blaster, but alas, he does. It doesn't suit him whatsoever, though. It looks ugly. It's just big, it's bulky, two missiles. It doesn't sit well on his arm at all. Now, the Iron Man, per standard nature, actually came with... Thanks, guys. They came with these. And these look a lot better for the figures, but they don't really sit well on the arms either. Now, this specific one here belongs to the Mark II. I believe both the Mark III and the Mark II maybe came with two of these each, but it's been a while. I can't quite remember. But anyway, I dug this one out at least. And to just demonstrate how the rest of them display them like that. Okay, it does sit slightly better on the arm compared to this monstrosity of a thing. I will just demonstrate how these fire. Let's use him as target practice. And in 3, 2, 1. Let's try the missile launcher that he actually does come with. Now you'll notice when I fire this, it will fire, I think, that one first and then that one. So, in 3, 2, 1. The firing mechanism is still pretty strong after all these years, and the missiles were launched with some kind of oomph, but clearly they weren't powerful enough to knock over a standard figure. I mean, I'll try it again, just for shizes and giggles. Oh, there we go. And now he's lost down the trench at the back of Beyond. The second thing that our silver satellite armor Iron Man comes with is a mighty backpack chocked full of solar panels. and these are articulated, so that can move down like that. These two can move back like that, as can these two here. And it's a bizarre idea. I appreciate the concept, but fortunately it's removable, just like that. And let's throw him to the side. Just attaches to him via this massive C-clip here. And yeah, it's nicely textured. Some very nice detailing there for all the solar panels, and a big ass arc reactor right there, silver center, wires protruding from these articulated joints. It is all kind of reasonably soft plastic. And yeah, it's a big thing that can attach to him. Let's put our silver soldier to the side and have a look at our beautiful blue boy over here. And yeah, as I said earlier, the deco is almost precisely the same. We're just swapping out the silver for blue here, but he has a radiant red arc reactor right there, and also in his eyes, which are kind of made all the more menacing with the white pupils that they've actually put in there too. But otherwise, it's precisely the same figure, except for these massive rocket launchers that are on his back here. They are removable, as I will try and demonstrate to this one without firing the rocket. So yeah, you can just remove them, and they are on these little articulated joints here, which you can rotate up, and that obviously suggests that they can go on his shoulders too. Let's just plonk this thing back on. And as we can see here, he really is trying to give War Machine a run for his money. These things are absolutely massive. Now, I'm not missing a missile here, despite there being, free, because this is the third one. For some reason, he doesn't come with 4. That would make sense. Now, this, as far as I can tell, is literally just a storage of the missiles. But I've had a look high and low and all over it, and there is no actual button or any firing mechanism that is installed in it. This one, however, there is, because you can see a big button right there. So let's repay the debt in kind. And that was powerful. Now, these two figures, while beautiful to look at, are not without their flaws. For a start, they're a bit of a pain in the arse to get stood up properly. They do have a habit of falling over. Now, you might also notice that the legs warp slightly, and I believe, from memory, it was like that straight out of the box. As you can probably, hopefully, make out with this guy. The blue one doesn't have any warping that I can see, but they are subject to this. It makes them very bow-legged. Also, I really hate these ball joints, or universal joints they might be. I don't know exactly what they are, but the hip joints, basically, they suck. They really, really suck, and it makes articulating the legs and making dynamic poses a wee bit difficult. And then the biggest thing and the most well-known thing about this mold are the shoulder pads. Very easily losable. They come off with no effort at all. In fact, they are warped slightly. They are friction points, so they just slot over, but you can probably see it's crap, basically. The gap is too wide to accommodate the ball-jointed shoulder. But let's have a look at articulation. Now, articulation is exactly the same because they are exactly the same figure. So let's get our blue boy back out there and demonstrate it with the silver one. So, first things first, heads are capable of rotating 360 degrees. They can look up that far, and they can look down only that far. In terms of the shoulders, can rotate 360 like that, and you can knock these off. These are articulated like that to allow movement of the arm, but you will just make them go flying. So with the shoulder pads attached, only move them out about that far. Take them off if you want, and then you've got a massive range of motion with the arms like that. In terms of the rotation, 360 at the bicep like that, and then you've got double jointed elbows, which means you can do that. And then in terms of the wrists, 360 swivel like that, and you've got a bit of inward and outward movement like so. Word of warning, excessive play with these guys, the hands will come off, as has happened with the Mark III and the Mark II, hence why they're not on camera. In terms of the torso, you've got ever so slightly of a forward crunch, but it's barely noticeable, and a way more noticeable back crunch like that. Then you've got the ability for him to rotate his torso 360 like that. Now, in terms of the legs and the hip joints that I hate, so I've got them manoeuvred in a way where you can see this kind of pattern facing forward. And that is done in an effort to give him the most organic looking profile. So it allows him to have a side kick, beautiful spread like that. But if you want him to have a forward kick, then you're going to have to turn this, and this is capable of swiveling 360 by the way, turn it and then turn it back whilst applying a bit of pressure to get that joint to move forward. So now the articulation joint is forward like that, and you can actually forward kick about that far. The consequence of doing this, however, makes him very wide in terms of his stance. His legs are split quite wide and it looks very unnatural. So bring it round and bring it like that to have it looking normal per se. Like I said, that swivels. You've got a double jointed leg right there, or double jointed knee right there I should say, so it bends out about that far. And then in terms of the ankles, you've got a bit of up and down, but not too much because of the moulding of the plastic ankle coverings here. And you've got a little bit of rotation too. So overall, articulation isn't too bad, but it hasn't aged all that well compared to what modern figures are capable of. There's a lot of hindrances going on here, especially with the poor design of the hip joints. And speaking of modern figures, let's compare some now. So we've got our Satellite and Torpedo Iron Man with a Black Series representative from Star Wars. Here is the Ahsoka series Sabine Wren. Representing the Transformers Studio series, comparing against our Iron Man, we've got Ironhide from the Bumblebee movie. And then for a proper Marvel comparison, our 2008 Iron Man with our Spider-Man Far From Home Marvel Legends Mysterio. So, what year is Far From Home? 2019, 2020, somewhere around there? But anyway, that's the difference in years in terms of figures. And Mysterio, I think his articulation is far superior to the two Iron Men here. So there we go then, that's been our look at the Satellite Iron Man and the Torpedo Iron Man from the 2008 line. Now you can see here these poses I've got them in. These are probably the most dynamic poses you're going to get from these figures, considering that we don't really have the proper ankle tilt. You can see him there. He's not very stable on his foot. He's not very flat-footed, and yeah, I mean that's the best you're going to get in terms of a repulsor kind of pose from them as well. With the arms not even straight because the hands can't bend all the way back because of the panels on the backs of them. So yeah, they're old figures, obviously. They are lacking the range of articulation that is standard for 6-inch figures from nowadays. But what they do have going for them are their paint and deco. They look marvellous, pun intended. They are really nice kind of display pieces first and foremost. And you know, as action figures go, for when you're a kid, if you needed something just to play with, then they are pretty serviceable as well. But articulation is a bit of a topic, and the shoulder pads are notorious for getting lost and popping off without any effort. Do I recommend these two? Well, on the basis of their decos and their paint schemes, absolutely, because they look great. But if you are more inclined to shop around for figures that have lots of posability and just a lot of good engineering, then they're maybe not for you. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.